Welcome to KHAS MULAKAT. I'm your host, Sonia West. Today in the studio, we have Alex Sangha, Jaspal Sangha, and Vinay GirIdhar. They are here to talk about a film that is just making waves in the South Asian community and the world, actually. It's called Emergence Out of the Shadows. So welcome to the studio, Alex, Jaspal, and Vinay.
Sat Shri Akal.
Sat Shri Akal, सारे ने. So tell me about this film. You are making waves because it's a topic that isn't generally discussed, especially in our South Asian community.
Well, the film was inspired by the story of a young man by the name of Caden. He was from Ludhiana. Okay. He was studying as an international student in Vancouver, and when his family found out he was gay, he was disowned. He was homeless, he was helpless, he had no food, no shelter. He was stuck in a foreign country with no money for his tuition. His immigration status was in limbo. So you find out in Emergence Out of the Shadows what happens to Caden, right. And then we flesh out the story with my coming out story as a gay man, as well as Jag Nagras, who's an emerging artist in Vancouver, and we talk about her story as a lesbian gay woman.
Okay, so there's 3 different stories in this film.
As well as the parents.
Okay, yeah. Yes, and speaking of the parents, welcome to your mother. So tell me, Sat Shri Akal.
Sat Shri Akal ji.
Tell me about your role in this. What did you feel while you were making this movie with your son and Vinay, of course?
I was simply telling my feelings to the public and to anybody who watching the film that as a mother, and I have 3 sons, and to me they are equal boys, and they are all my sons, and I'm a mother for them.
Right. So you're involved with Share Vancouver. So tell me a bit about what Share Vancouver is.
Share Vancouver LGBTQ Friends Society is based out of Vancouver.
Okay.
It helps anybody who's suffering and then trying to find a place in society, especially if they are LGBTQ.
Right.
And trying to give them a place to belong.
Right.
Because it's hard to belong when you are in a community like the LGBTQ community.
Absolutely.
And the society is kind of against you in some ways.
Absolutely.
So
you're the founder of Share Vancouver. Tell me what kinds of programs, where is it's a charity. So the money's for Share Vancouver. What kinds of programs do you support with this?
So Share Vancouver is celebrating our 15th year next year. We're a very unique charity. We're a very unique charity in this country to support gay, lesbian, South Asians and friends. So we have, a free crisis counseling program, peer support groups. We have a youth leadership award. We have outreach presentations to combat bullying and racism. We go into schools and show film screenings, and we have discussions. We have film production that we do, social justice film production to make movies for an educational market. We have a podcast that talks about issues affecting our community, and we have a lot of activities. Just go to our website if you want, sharevancouver.com, and get involved. We're here to help you and support you.
Right. So making this film, I mean, watching it, even when you finished the film, and I'm talking to you, Auntie G, when you're watching the film and talking about how when Alex was younger, you knew, but he didn't express how he was feeling, but you as a mother knew. Talk a bit about that.
In reality, yes, he was right from the beginning, the moment he born, was crying so hard and the tears was going into the ears. And I was just start thinking from the same moment, and I'm still thinking. So it's like playing with the girls, playing with the dolls, and using my outfits, and any celebration in the neighborhood or in the house. He always was fond of looking at me to be dressed up, and if I'm not, and he say, "Oh, this is a Punjabi thing. Why don't you have something Punjabi on?"
That's right. Yeah. Very good.
So little things were different. Even the sensitivity, caring nature, and dressing himself up too in my clothes and my jewelry. And I just let him do anything he want, because I firmly believe childhood will never come back.
That's right.
And whichever way he's happy, he's happy.
Oh, that's an
and
amazing
mostly
perspective.
like to play with the girls, and the boys he thought they are very rough, tough, and I time to time say, very few times, but the father used to say, "You are a man, you are a boy, you should be strong." So but he looked strong,
Yeah.
tall as just a 2-year-old was quite tall boy, but inside very, very soft person.
And everyone is. I mean, those labels that society puts on us isn't fair because not everyone's the same.
Yes.
So it's good that you have that open mind, which I hope more people can become like that.
Yes.
So Emergence Out of the Shadows. Alex, tell me the success about this. I know that this is like the film that made headlines at the Vancouver International South Asian Film Festival. Tell me a bit about that and the people that were watching.
Well, the film premiered in Palm Springs in September 2021, and now a few months later, we have over 30 official selections at film festivals around the world.
Amazing.
At the Vancouver International South Asian Film Festival in Surrey, it was a closing night film at the Surrey City Hall.
Okay.
And it was packed. It was totally packed, and we weren't. The film ended, and there was a dead silence. We didn't know what was going to happen.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, everyone stood up and clapped.
Oh my
And
God.
95% of the audience was Punjabi, Sikh, South Asian people.
Amazing.
Amazing. In the heart of Surrey, this happened. And then Manu Sandhu walked in, who's the festival founder and director, festival programmer. She walked in and she goes, and the winner for Best Documentary of VISAF, the Vancouver International South Asian Film Festival this year, is Emergence Out of the Shadows. And then we were just so blown away. And so Vinay, the director, went up there and he did a fabulous speech.
Okay.
And then my mom stood up in front of the audience and she put out her hands, she embraced the audience, and she said, you can ask Vinay and my mom what they said. It was amazing.
Yeah, tell us a bit about that moment, Mom.
That was actually very lifting up spirit moment.
Yeah.
I was so thrilled to see the audience in a heavy rainy day, and all walks of life people sitting there and all ages of life people sitting there.
Yeah.
So I just kind of laugh. I said, I can start with brothers and sisters because I'm over 70. Maybe nobody here is like my Bapuji and Maji. So
Yeah.
I embrace everybody.
Yeah.
And first time I felt in my life that Emer has been struggling since a little kid, maybe
Yes.
over 45 years.
Yeah.
And so am I with him.
Right.
And that was the moment I cherish that. I will never ever forget the love and the warmth and the acceptance our community showed us that day. That was my first time in my life.
That's beautiful. And Vinay, how about for you when you went and you accepted, that recognition? Tell us about that moment.
That was an amazing moment.
Yeah.
Because we made a film about these people who are based from here.
Yeah.
And then, the topic is controversial. It's
Right.
about LGBTQ Sikhs.
Yes.
And how we were actually a little scared, like what will happen?
Yeah.
Will the people accept it?
Right.
And then suddenly people stood up and they were clapping and they were
Right.
just like, it was a very emotional moment for all of us, the whole team,
Yeah.
Emergence.
Actually,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I had this one elderly man come up to me after the screening. He was wearing a turban, and I thought, oh no, what's going to happen now? He said, you know what? I have to say to you, as the producer, and Vinay was there, the director, he said, what I really liked about Emergence, and I had mixed feelings coming into this film.
Yeah.
He said, you didn't blame Sikhism, you didn't blame the religion, you didn't blame our culture. You just shared the stories of these 3 Punjabi Sikh people struggling in their community and why it's important to support them and to save lives and to create safe spaces within our community.
Right.
And he said, I really liked it how you presented a cultural, religious aspect to the story without blaming anyone or bashing our people.
Right. And that sets you apart because the message is more clear that way. Because if you did start to blame, that takes away from what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So this was your first film that you directed.
Yes.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So how was that? I mean, this is a big one for your very first one.
It is. It's turning out to be a big one.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been, working with Share Vancouver as a volunteer, as graphic designer, video
Right.
editor,
Okay.
photographer for over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And Alex and Auntie has slowly become my family here because I don't have close family
Right.
living in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And then we met Caden along the way because
Right.
Caden's story really struck with me and us
Yeah.
because he had come out to his family,
Right.
and then suddenly he's totally cut off.
And
his-
he's in the film, and so the film is about how he has been cut off from his family.
yeah, so his family just totally cut him off
Yeah.
financially. Like they basically kicked him out of his house just because he's gay.
Right.
And that really struck a chord with us because we wanted to say that story.
Yeah.
And to how can a parent suddenly do that to a child?
I know.
So
So there's 3 stories in the film, but you're talking about Caden. So let's have a look at the clip actually from the film, because I think that our viewers could get a good idea of what the film's about if we show them a clip. So let's have a look at that clip right now.
Something that's not part of the norm, people don't like that because that creates some sort of hatred.
If I could say that I'm gay, like they love me now, but they're gonna hate me.
Rejection from family, society, it's a part of your day-to-day existence. They said I was embarrassing them, shaming them.
Watching my son, it was telling me something, but I was not knowledgeable enough to understand what's wrong in him. I gave a birth to a son, and what he's talking about doesn't make any sense.
My dad found me in bed with another guy, and then I wasn't part of the family anymore. I just packed the essentials and then bought a train ticket and then went on my journey. I had left every single person I knew in the world.
I've seen him on the phone call his mom one time in India, and she just hung up on him. That just broke my heart.
My whole world came crashing down knowing that my parents have 2 kids and they're both gay.
I gave you birth and you have to face this?
I was so unhappy. Many times I thought of ending my life and suicide, but I didn't want to hurt my mom.
He did not know, mother know it, but I knew.
No one teaches Indian parents or South Asian parents or Sikh families about homosexuality. Where are you supposed to get your education from?
I used to believe if you pray, 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 you can change everything.
If you had told me 10 years ago that this is how I'd be living, I would have found that very hard to believe. I do feel like times are changing. It was amazing to see other queer people of color coming together.
Falling in love, falling out of love, falling in love again, trying to experience life.
There's nothing wrong with you. You are exactly who you're supposed to be.
Gay people are people too. They need to be loved too.
I would say to my dad if I could.
So we got to see a clip of the film.
Yes.
That's beautiful. It actually visually it's really well done because you're seeing. My favorite part is actually if the people that just watched the clip when the mother is saying I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. So whose idea was that? Was that all your direction or?
It was obviously a teamwork.
So collaboration.
So we had a team. The whole team came
Yeah.
together, and then for me, I didn't want to make it just a coming out story. We wanted something deeper than that because there are other stories coming out.
Yeah.
It's not people might think, oh, what's the big deal? People come out every day.
Right.
But we wanted to show what the parents actually are feeling,
Right.
because there is so much expectations, pressure of expectations on the
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
And to show what the parents actually go through to accept or to reject.
That's a really good point because often we think, so and so poor person has to come out of the closet. It's going to be so hard for them. But what about the parents who have their child thinking different things for their child that one day this will happen, and then they're not blindsided, but they're surprised or they have to accept, And I mean, true testament to motherhood right here. Your mother, Alex, is such a great role model for the people that are watching here, because she's saying accept your child, love your child for who your child is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the funny thing with this film is my whole life I thought my mom just embraced me. She loved me. I was one of God's children.
Yeah.
She always treated me with equality. And she's read the GirIdhar from beginning to end many times. She was a Punjabi language teacher in India.
Oh, very good.
But one thing about Emergence, when I watched Emergence for the first time in my life, I saw that my mom also struggled with this. I saw that my mom had to come to terms with her child's and her son's sexuality. She had to deal with her own journey of self-acceptance. Mm-hmm. And there was kind of like an awakening call for me that the parents also have their struggles with this. And, even though my mom never said anything to hurt me, she was hurting herself for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, what I really actually appreciate is that the fact that you're accepting of Alex, it shows the world that they can't judge him. When the mother is standing with you, the community can't really judge you. If the mother said, I think this is wrong, then the community would be against you. So you're very lucky in the support from your mom.
Yes, I love my mom. I love my mom.
Yeah.
So thank you, Mom. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love my son.
it's very rare. You do love your son, yeah. We were laughing earlier actually when you were like, sit here, son. You know,
Yes.
you wanted to make sure that he was comfortable before anything else because you are a loving mother.
And you know, Sonia, what was so made me feel so good as a Punjabi Sikh person was my mom told me very early on, there's nothing in the Guru Granth Sahib that says anything bad about anyone.
Yeah.
There's nothing in there about anything bad about gay people.
No.
So you are God's child like everyone else. You are a creation of God. No one has a right to judge God's creation.
I love that. Yeah. Ek Onkar, right? It's one God.
मानस की जात सबे एक के पहचान वो
There you go. Sabhi ek
एक कोई जात है
Yeah,
सारी
that's very good. So in making this film, and this being your first film, which is amazing, I'm blown away that this is your first film, and,
Thank you.
know it's very exciting because the topic itself is something that needed to be brought to light. So tell me, any challenges while you're making this film?
There were a lot of challenges, like bringing 3 stories together. What we wanted to do was to show a positive spin on everything.
Okay.
Just like we said earlier, we didn't really blame anybody. We wanted to show like we cannot blame anybody if you want to build bridges, right?
That's right.
So we want to work with the community and to show that it is possible to to live happily, openly as a gay person, or even accept your children who are gay or different, right?
Yeah.
So the challenge was to bring all these stories together and to present it in a way that somebody can sit and watch it,
Right.
and then they take away something positive from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was an amazing journey.
Yeah.
It took us 2 years to create the film, film it within Vancouver, Surrey, mostly, and we learned a lot along the way.
In the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
I know. What a time to have this come about. You're like, oh my goodness, now what, right? Because the
Yeah.
pandemic really affected a lot of people.
Yes.
So we're all smiling and positive messages and that kind of thing. But there's a different side to this. And when we're talking about Share Vancouver, there are a lot of people that can benefit from Share Vancouver and reaching out to your charity, because a lot of people struggle and they don't have the support of auntie, like they don't have a mother that might be supportive, or any friends or family. They might be all alone in this, like Caden from the film. So to those people, I mean, this is a resource that they can use. I mean, because there's unfortunately people might think of taking their own life, as we saw in the clip that you mentioned that you had thought about that. Suicide is actually a fact when people are going through this.
Gay and lesbian kids have a very high rate of suicidal ideation compared to the general population. They're a high risk of anxiety, trauma, and a lot of them are at risk of being homeless, and this is what happened to Caden. So yes, people used to say to us, no, it can't happen in our community. Well, watch the movie and hear the stories of what happens to these kids.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we say it can't happen in our community or it doesn't, but the true fact is that we just don't acknowledge it. It happens, but we kind of turn, a blind eye to it because we don't want to recognize what is actually happening.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
I think that's what we found when we were filming, because it's mostly, oh, that's his private business. We don't want to know what, like, we don't want to know about these things, especially when sex and everything, sexual is a taboo.
Yeah.
People don't discuss. It was really interesting when we actually started filming. I wanted to play one story against the other. It's kind of like a truth meter, right?
Yeah.
Like I asked the same question to both of them.
Okay.
And then I'll get 2 different perspectives of the same thing.
Oh, that's clever.
So, and we pitched them together. This is
Okay.
how we build the film.
Yeah.
So what we found out that Auntie never spoke to Alex. Alex never spoke to Auntie.
Okay.
They didn't know that they had separate journeys.
Okay.
And then they figure out after watching the film, look, this is people just assume, okay, Auntie is so big-hearted that she
Yeah.
just, accepted.
Right.
But it didn't happen overnight.
No.
She had to go through her
Her own journey, her own struggle.
Yeah, similar with the Jag's parents as well. They were
Yes.
really struggling
Yeah.
to accept, especially Jag's dad was like still emotional talking about it.
Yeah.
So if you watch the film, like it's really touching for anybody watching it, because to see that the Jag's sibling is also gay, and then
Yes.
they both
2 kids. Yeah.
both of their kids are gay, and then it takes a lot of courage to come and say, we support you.
Right. So I want you to actually give a message to the people that are watching here. I'm going to get all 3 of you to give a message, but I'm going to start with you and then Auntie, and then we'll end with you, Alex. So Vinay, if you can look right into that camera over there and give our viewers a message, any message you want to share.
For me personally, as an immigrant that came to this country, and to start a life as an artist or a filmmaker, or because I came to this country to learn animation, a form of storytelling, and it took me 10 years to get this opportunity to make a film. And it's amazing that I was able to find Share Vancouver and Alex, who supported me in this venture. So if you dream big, like, it's possible, anything is possible. You just have to work hard, and it'll happen.
Okay, and Auntie Ji, your message to the camera right there.
ਮੈਂ ਦੋਨੇ ਹੱਥ ਜੋੜ ਕੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਮਾਜ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਕਿ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਮਾਂ ਜੀ, ਬਾਪੂ ਜੀ, ਭੈਣ ਭਰਾ, ਆਂਢੀ ਗੁਆਂਢੀ ਤੇ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਗਿਲਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਘਰ ਵੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ੁਭ ਸ਼ਾਮਾਂ ਦਿਓ। ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੋਈ ਸੰਸਾਰ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ, ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟਰ ਦੀ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਰਤਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਆ, ਉਹਦੀ ਕਿਰਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਦੋਸ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸੋਚਾਂਗੇ ਉਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਬਣ ਜਾਾਂਗੇ। ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਤੇ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ, ਬੜੇ ਖੁੱਲੇ ਦਿਲ ਨਾਲ, ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਨਿੱਕਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਵੱਡਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਵੀ, ਔਰ ਮੈਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਇਹੋ ਹੀ ਪਿਆਰ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਜਾਵੇ। ਸ਼ੁਕਰੀਆ।
Very good. And finally, a message from you, Alex Sangha.
First of all, I want to thank the director, Vinay, and my wonderful mother for being in the film and trusting us with the film. And also, I want to send a message to everyone out there that if you just help one person in your life, you mentor one person, you support one person, then the entire world can be empowered and we can change the world. And I really honestly, truly believe that everything is possible if we work together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your messages. Congratulations on all of your success. So we're going to keep watching and see what's in the future for all of you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sat Shri Akal.
Thank you.
Sat Shri Akal. ਇਹ ਸੀ ਸਾਡਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਖਾਸ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਟੀਵੀ। ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਹੋਸਟ ਸੋਨੀਆ ਵੈਸਟ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ।